Today we're in the first chapter, Variables, of Learn to Code 2, and we're working on the first activity called Keeping Track. And our goal here is to create a variable to track the number of gems collected. And you hopefully looked through the Introduction to Variables activity just before this, and you learned that a variable really, you can think of it as a box or a container that holds a value. And the values can be anything you want in there, really. And we'll see some of the basic things that we store in there. Sometimes are numbers or words or sentences or things like that. Today we're going to work with a variable that holds a number in it. And the syntax, the way you declare a variable in Swift, is you say var. That's the keyword that says this next thing I give you is going to be a variable. So you say var, which stands for variable, then you give it a name. The example they give here is my age. So you say var, my age, and then you assign it. That equal sign is not an equal sign as in math. What we call it in computer science is an assignment operator. And that means we're going to assign the value 15 to the variable named my age. Okay? Now, if we ever want to see the value that's inside my age, we can get to it anytime we want. That's what variables are good for. We store the value in there, and we can always retrieve the value out of it if we want to. And I'll show you some examples of that in a little bit. So our goal today, let me get the puzzle up here. Our goal today is we have Byte sitting here facing a gem. It's not a very hard puzzle. He just has to move forward 2 tiles and collect the gem, and he'll be done with the puzzle. But what we're going to do here is define a variable to keep track of the number of gems he has at any time. So when he starts off, he has no gems. By the time he's done with this puzzle, he'll have 1 gem. So let's go ahead, and at the beginning here we've got a symbol called var. Var is our keyword that says the next name you see, gem counter, will be a container or a box that holds a value. And in this case we want the value in that box to represent the number of gems that Byte has at any time. So we can start off by saying, well, at the beginning Byte has 0 gems. So we can assign the value 0 to the variable gem counter. Okay? Then when we collect a gem, we can change the value of gem counter and assign it to a new value like 1 or 2 or 3 or however many gems he has. Okay? So let's have Byte move forward, and our character move forward here, and we'll say move forward and move forward again, and go ahead and collect the gem. Now, as soon as he collects the gem, that's the perfect time to update our variable gem counter. Since it's meant to represent the number of gems that the character has, anytime we collect a new gem, we should change gem counter. So we can say gem counter and assign it to the value 1. So the value 1 is assigned to the variable named gem counter in this case. Okay? Let's try running this, and when we're done running this, if this works, we're going to play around with some other variables here. Alright, so our character moves forward once, twice, he collects the gem, now he has 1 gem, and that's when we assign our gem counter variable to have the value 1 now, because it's been updated, right? Okay, good job. So before we go on, I want to show you just a couple more variables here and point out one thing. Notice here when we said gem counter is equal to 1, or gem counter is assigned the value 1 more appropriately, right? We did not have to use the var keyword again. Only the very first time you declare and initialize a variable do you need to use the keyword var. From any point onward in here, you can just say gem counter equals 1, gem counter equals 17, gem counter equals -42, whatever you want. Okay, so this var statement is only the very first time you are what we call declaring and initializing a variable. So it's initial time, it's first time. So let's practice with this, making a couple more variables in here. So I might want to do something like this. I might want to say var street number. If I want to hold my address, street number equals 126. Now we've assigned the value 126 to a new variable called street number. Okay, and that's holding the information for our address, for our the street number of our address. And later on, if we say move next door, we could then do something like this. We could say street number equals 125, something like that. All right. Now the value that's inside the variable street number, the value that street number is holding is 125. Okay. We can also hold different types of information, like our street name. So we can declare and initialize a new variable, street name, and assign it to the value main. Okay? Notice that when I want to hold words or sentences, I always enclose those in double quotation marks like this. Okay? So our street name now holds the information main. Okay? And we can go change it if we wanted to. Street name equals maple, something like that. We want to. So now I'm assigning the value maple to street name. Okay. Let's try this. One more example of things we might want to do. So we could do something like this. We could say var our family count, and this is meant to say represent the number of people in our family. I can type it, okay? Our family count, and let's say we have 5 people in our family. I would assign it the value 5. Okay, then we might make another variable here. In our neighbor count. This is the number of neighbors we have. Neighbor count, and assign that the value, say, 17. Okay. You can also assign variables the result of an expression like this, var neighborhood count. This variable is intended to represent the number of people in our neighborhood, and the number of people in our neighborhood is the number of neighbors we have plus our own family. Okay, so we could put in here 17 plus 5, but a better thing might be to do something like this. We might say our neighborhood count is our neighbor count plus our family count. Okay, now why is that better than putting in 17 plus 5? Well, let's say that our neighbors have a baby and their count goes up to 18. Well, if their count goes up to 18, we can just change our neighbor count, and our neighborhood count will still be whatever was in neighbor count before plus our family count. Okay, so it will get updated. So when it was 17, the value stored in neighborhood count is 17 plus 5, or 22. But when our neighbors have a new baby, then our neighborhood count will be automatically updated to be 18 plus 5, or 23. Okay? All right. That's it for this time. We're going to learn a lot about variables in the next 6 or 7 activities. So we look forward to seeing you then. Good job, everybody.